And we are live. Hey, everybody, welcome to the live stream. I am your Kevinly Father, Kevin Williams. It's been a couple of days since we broadcast. If you're in the chat room, I don't know if we're broadcasting or not, quite frankly. More technical difficulties, so it shows that I'm live, but if you are watching the broadcast right now, go ahead and, this is a mess. Go ahead and say something in the chat, whatever you're on, Twitter or Facebook or whatever, and we'll see if the chat room is working. Otherwise, I'm going to have to pull the chat in. I'm just looking at YouTube. Hey, Marcy. Hey, Chuck. Good to see you. Go ahead and hit chat or something, and then it'll come through. Just because this is going to be this is spilling Covfefe. We're just gonna talk. This is no big whoop. We're just going to have a little conversation about stuff. This is ridiculous. Okay, so the chat is not coming through. I am going to have to do something to fix this. Hold on. I'll be right back. Give me a second. Okay, I just got to adjust a couple of things here. Hold on. I got to plug this in. Plug that. Okay. Are we mic working? Okay. All right. Let's try this again. Okay. Much better. Okay. Let's see. And there's the chat room. Okay. So that worked. A couple of minor adjustments and we're back on the air. Feels great. So it's been a while, kids, and I am back. So let's do this. Hey Kimchi, hey Joanna, hey Tracy, hey Marcy, hey, who else is here? Stephanie was the first one in here. I saw that. Congratulations to Stephanie. So much to talk about. Well, let's start. This is just spilling Covfefe. There's nothing official here. We don't have to do any fact checks or anything like that, but we are. So I just had a discussion with a young lady who works in the service industry. You'll never guess what she does for a living. But I met this young lady and I said, hey, it feels good to be out and about in the world and partaking of your services because I've been vaccinated now. So, 90% chance. And I said, oh, so you must have been vaccinated because you're out seeing people and being close to them all day, every day. She said, no, it hasn't even been approved yet. I said, sorry? The FDA hasn't approved it yet. Yes, it has. It has an emergency use authorization. That's an approval. That's why people are getting it. If the FDA hadn't approved it yet, well, I heard they hadn't approved it. This is what people believe. This young lady, she's not an anti-vaxxer. She's nothing against the vaccine. She just wants to wait. Everybody in her family caught it in February. She lives with her parents. I told her I got the opportunity to go up to Seattle and hug my dad for the first time in a year. She's like, I live with my parents. I don't hug them that often, but it's not the point. She has two uncles that have died from COVID, both in their 60s. Just no impetus to get the vaccine. Cuts hair. Is this close to people. Just spent a half an hour right next to me. I'll get it. I'll get it at some point, I think. Thinking of becoming pregnant and is worried that the vaccine might, in fact, affect her ability to become pregnant. I told her there were several pregnant ladies in the study, and they all had the babies. Everybody was good. It's okay. One lady in the studies didn't have the baby. It didn't work out. But that lady didn't receive the vaccine. She was part of the control group that received the placebo. Well, do you really think we can trust the CDC? She said. Well, yeah. Now, the people at the top, Redfield, for instance, he's a political appointee. You can't trust them. Depends on the person who puts them there. Obviously, we can't trust Trump. He's perpetrated the big lie. Everything he did was a lie. And the people falling for the lie, they're the suckers. I said, yeah, just think about it. The information that you're getting are from people who are trying to sell you advertising. They want you to watch. They get you hooked. You want to see what they have to say, and they sell advertising. Fauci has no motivation to lie to you. I should have said that, Kimchi. I thought of that as I left. I said, you know what I should have said is you can wait and get pregnant and then die from COVID during your pregnancy. That won't help the baby. I should have said that. I didn't. I would have said it more delicately than that. Just mind-boggling. Seemed like a personally rational person. Was like where I got my haircut. They managed the place. It's coming back. Everything is great. They're looking to match figures that they did in 2019. The people are coming back for haircuts as we knew they would. And she tells me everyone who comes in here says, I'm getting a haircut now because I've been vaccinated. Right. Did not understand that we need to get vaccinated in order to get to herd immunity. Didn't get that concept. No one had talked to her about that. Did not know that there were variants. I told her about what's happening in BC with the Brazilian variants. I told her about the UK variant in Ontario. I told her about the UK variant in Michigan. Why are they called the Brazilian? Well, that's where it came from. That's the variant. She did not know that COVID has mutated, and then I explained to her and whatnot. By the end of the thing, I don't know if she's more willing or not. She just kept coming up with one excuse after the other, and it ended with, "But I want to be pregnant." Well, you can't really trust the CDC. I said, my sister's a nurse. What is her motivation to lie to me about this? Well, everyone's out there for something. Yeah, because they really like saving lives. That's why she did not get into the nursing industry 30 years ago so that she could somehow convince you to take a vaccine right now. And if she did, hey, hats off to Kevinly's sister. I love the long game. Okay, guys, I'll admit it. I have a drinking problem. You can cut that bit out and use it when I run for Senate. I will never win a Senate seat in California. I could run in D.C. At Random's probably busy. She's probably out walking Rusty. So let's do this. Let's start with a little Fucks and Friends from this morning. Let's see what is even more important here. So you can see you got your Liz Cheney here on one side of your screen. You got your Donald Trump. Liz Cheney is now coming out. Starting yesterday, she tweeted, "Hey, we have to stop perpetrating the big lie. It is un-American. It is against law and order. The Republican Party has to move on from this." And there are sections of the Republican Party that are very upset that she dares to challenge Donald Trump's ridiculous big lie, which now Donald Trump is putting out statements trying to make it seem like Biden's victory is the big lie. 50 different Republican and Democratic secretaries of states, 50 different governors, all of them certified the election. Every single one. 100 out of 100 people. I don't know what percentage that is. I'm not good at the maths, but it seems pretty high. That's at least 60 to 70% in my estimation. Okay. Let's go over here and let's pull up the Fox and Friends from this morning. We have a Trump interview from last week as well on Maria Bartiromo. We've got yesterday's Maria Bartiromo. I didn't watch that. So there's all kinds of stuff to do here, and we'll just kind of hang out and Covfefe for as long as you guys feel like. I was going to be drinking some Covfefe this morning. This is the mug that I was thinking of. See? It's my favorite mug. That's my kid when he was a midget. Midget is what they call I want to say 15 and 16-year-olds in hockey, still called midget. No one has changed that. Hold on. I'll see if they still have, like in the last few years, if that's gone away now. Give me a second here. Interesting article in the WAPO today about landlords and rent and stuff like that. Somebody wanted to see my head. There's my head right there. That is my head. No one's ever asked to see my head before. People are always talking to producer Joanna about her head. Apparently she has a fantastic head. Oh, is that random here now? Hi, at random. Thank you, Robert. It's very nice of you to say. The hair's gone, and I'm so light now. I dropped 14 pounds. The more important thing about the hair experience, though, was speaking to this young lady of Latina. Her family, her grandparents had the vaccine. The rest of her family, no one's gotten it. Her husband is now back at work. He's a bartender. I'm not trying to disparage anyone in this family. The lady who cut my hair, very nice. Nothing bad to say about it. I think she did a wonderful job on the hair. But her husband is a bartender, just started working again last week, and has to get tested now for work, doesn't want to do it. It's like 10 seconds. I just did it on Friday. By the way, I'm negative. I took the airplane trips, and I've been vaccinated, so I'm like, I wonder what the odds are. I know what the odds are. But anyway, I took the test, little name, 10 circles, 10 circles. They don't go way up into your brain anymore like a firefighter. It's just done. Yeah, you can't trust the CDC. It's the Center for Disease Crooks. That's what it's right there in the name. Like Committee to Re-elect the President, CREEP, or World League of American Football, WLAF. What a dead giveaway. Speaking of dead, I hope she's okay. I hope she does okay. What I said was right now Washington and Oregon are starting to surge because of the variant that they've caught cooking up there in Seattle and Oregon. Hospitalization rates by people under 35 in Oregon are up 50% right now. The variant that's happening in Oregon does not care how old you are. I have not seen Lizzie in here yet today. She has it. She's in Oregon. I hope she's okay. Has anyone checked on Lizzie this morning? I saw her yesterday online, and her font appeared fine. Let's back up here. What was I going to show you? I was going to show you. Let's talk about the landlords just for a second. So this is an article in the WAPO today. You've got this landlord. This is in Schenectady, New York, which I just like saying the name. Schenectady. So what happened was Schenectady had a whole bunch of properties that had just gone to blight. And the mayor of Schenectady went around to New Jersey and New York, found Guyanans, people from Guyana, and said, hey, why don't you come to our city and become landlords there? Because in that community, they are well known to become landlords and fix up property. So he's like, why not Schenectady? He probably said it correctly, I'm guessing, being the mayor. And so he went out and recruited 5,000 Guyanans who moved to Schenectady and revitalized the city. And once you fix up the houses and start renting them, people can move there for jobs, etc., but they have a place to live, and then you get property tax, and that rebuilds the tax base for the city. It works out really, really well. Well, now, since coronavirus, is one of these Guyanans, a gentleman named Badu. Let's see, Romeo Badu. Here he is right here. Let's see, that's him. So there he's working in his garden. He can't get any rent money from anybody. No one's paying. And the tenants have gotten to, not all of them, but most of his tenants have gotten to the point where they know, because of New York law and federal law, that he can't do anything. But he's got to pay his bills. So he's mortgaged to the hilt. He's taken a second loan on his car. And he can't get people out of the houses. The tenants have rights. The landlords have no rights. Now, they fixed this very quickly in some countries. For example, in Italy, the country told the banks, hey, no mortgages right now. You're not connecting any mortgages. That protects the landlords. That protects the renters. That works out. Oh, but what about the poor banks? They're banks. Remember the last time we went through this? Remember when we were giving the banks $90 to $190 billion of taxpayer monies, bailing them out? Remember we gave that to insurance companies, AIG, etc., the Bank of America, etc., car companies, etc.? But we're not doing it that way. We're not. So this poor guy, this is one of his tenants right there, who's not paying anything. So he got his stimulus check rather than the first stimulus check and some unemployment as well. But he's done things like, and he was a cook at a restaurant. Restaurants closed, he lost his job. Both him and his girlfriend lost their job. So he got some money from the stimulus and everything. He fixed the engine in his broken down minivan. That's good. He bought some extra food. Also good. Paid for some basic furniture. He paid down his credit card and surprised his daughter with a decent laptop for her virtual classes. So he bought a laptop for his daughter, but he hasn't paid his rent. Which is like, dude, you're supposed to pay your rent because the landlord's also a person. But on the other hand, he doesn't have to. If I was in that situation, if I wasn't blessed to be where I am right now, I might say, I mean, that's the reason I moved out of my apartment, because I was like, I think this is going to last at least a year. Judges agree. And I didn't want to be in an apartment and have all that backlog because I knew that would hurt the landlord. And I knew the landlord where I was, which is a great place, would rent out the townhome that I was in fairly quickly. And they did. Government could have fixed this immediately. And I don't know if it ever occurred to the Trumps to say like, hey, let's tell the banks to hold off for just a little while. They're the banks. No, of course that didn't occur to Trump. Plus, Trump owes $400 million to the banks. Jane and Michael Banks. Let's go back to Fox and Friends here. Let's start it up from this morning and see what they have to say. If anyone wants to watch anything, just throw out your requests. Again, this is just spilling Covfefe.
Fox and Friends starts.
Fox and Friends starts right now.
He wins the Bushy.
Hold on.
Brian.
Okay, we got to get back past the music so we don't get a copyright strike. I'm still demonetized on YouTube, by the way. If you'd like to give me any money so that I can pay my rent, that would be super great. What you can do is just become a patron here at KevinlyFather.com. Use the Cash App if you have it, PayPal, Venmo, etc. If you don't have the Cash App and you live in the United States, use that code up there. And that cash.app.app/app-LMNOP. Use that code. Send me $5. You'll get that $5 right back. Cash App will give you that $5 back, and I will get $15. So that will work out with everybody. And then you can get your own credit card, not credit card, but debit card for Cash App. And then they give you money back when you buy coffee or Burger King or Whole Foods or Taco Bell. It's all kinds of stuff. Look into it. Here we go.
And Ainsley, that I think Bob Baffert probably thinks that Janice Dean is his lucky charm because every time she shows up, his horse wins.
I know. She said she had so much fun there. 45.
Kentucky Derby. I have nothing to say about the Kentucky Derby. I don't get it. I don't get running animals around. Okay. Are the jockeys having a good time, I guess?
1,000 people were allowed to be there, and congratulations to Mr. Baffert. He is incredible.
The more you look around the country, the more things get back to normal. Kentucky Derby, you were able to watch it and see the pregame, the postgame, the coverage, and go, wait a second, we're not You forget for a while we're in a pandemic. You don't see people necessarily apart. You see people celebrating. I think that's going to be the theme over the next few months. Back to normal.
Closer. That's what we want. All right. Anyway, thank you very much for joining us on this Monday, May the...
I have not forgotten that we're in a pandemic. I have discussions with people about pandemics. I did get a haircut, and that's closer to normal. I'm happy with that.
3rd, 2021. We start this hour with an update on an alarming story.
I got my haircut, and then I came home, and I looked in the mirror, and I was like, who's that guy with the skinny neck? Because I had all this going on before.
Story out of Southern California. Rescue crews working overnight after a boat suspected of smuggling illegal immigrants capsized near San Diego.
I know, 4 people.
Well, hold on a second here. How can that be? Because we built a wall, okay? We built a wall. That stops boats, right? The wall goes out in the ocean, right? We like a good 20, 50 miles, right? We stopped it. We stopped the immigration problem. We built a wall in San Diego. Nobody's coming in right now, right? Because of the wall.
People are dead this morning because of this, and more than 24 are injured.
People smuggling into our country. Jackie Ibanez joins us live with the developing rescue efforts. Jackie.
Hey, good morning, guys. The Coast Guard, alongside multiple agencies, responding to a capsized boat off Point Loma around 10 o'clock local time Sunday morning. There were 25 survivors, as you said, including 1 in critical condition this morning, 4 others killed. Majority of the survivors were sent to different hospitals there in the area. CBP reporting the 40-foot boat was suspected of being used to transport migrants into the U.S.
Sad.
The reality is crossing the border illegally is unsafe no matter the method, especially at sea. The smuggler...
Yeah, but, I mean, you can just climb over the wall. You can drop toddlers over the wall.
They don't care about the people they're exploiting. All they care about is profit.
Yeah.
To them, these people are just commodities.
Yep.
And the captain of that boat is in custody this morning. The vessel broke apart due to rough conditions, 5 to 6 feet of surf and wind. It was unclear where the people on board originated from.
This was a mass rescue operation that turned into a...
Could have just stopped with originated. Didn't need the from in there.
Mass casualty incident, one of the bigger vessel accidents and bigger calls.
He's got good hair. Look at, he's got some product going on in his hair there.
That we've seen here. This is probably the worst tragedy.
And guys, the boat captain is in custody this morning. Border Patrol officials say the captain was a bit out of it and spoke to agents at the scene. Back to you guys.
All right, Jackie, thank you very much. You know, a lot of us had not heard about this kind of smuggling operation before, but on Thursday, the Border Patrol people stopped a boat with 21 people on it. And
Same type of boat.
Yeah, same exact kind of wooden boat. And the problem is, you know, now we're learning more about, is that for these migrants who are trying to come to the country, illegally, of course, they just know they're going to go to America. They don't realize that at one point they might actually be in a little boat that is overcrowded. There are no life-saving devices, and their lives would be in peril. And then they wind up far out at sea with no food, no water, no safety gear.
So dangerous. And, you know, this was the topic, immigration was the topic on some of the Sunday shows over the weekend. And the Biden administration's chief of staff and his secretary of state, they were on 2 different shows. Listen to what they said. They're saying it's not their fault.
Children as young as 6, 7 years old coming here with no adult who are sent on a dangerous journey. I don't think that's because of a speech Joe Biden gave. That's because of horrible conditions in Guatemala, El Salvador, and Honduras.
What we're seeing is indeed a surge of people to the border. We've seen that in the past, but we inherited a totally broken system, broken intentionally. Traffickers and others are trying to tell them that the border is open. It's not.
But children are being allowed in, and they're being...
Children are the one exception because we will not. It is the right thing to do.
He's too smart to not understand what he just said.
Okay. So the Trump administration also allowed children in. Unaccompanied minors have to be admitted. They're children. Nothing has changed in terms of that. The Remain in Mexico policy never, ever applied to unaccompanied minors. They're kids.
It's the right thing to do. When you say it's okay to come here,
they're not saying it's okay to come here. You know who's saying it's okay to come here? You, Brian, because you keep saying that the border is open. It's wide open. We don't have a border. And those Trump's words are being played in El Salvador and Guatemala and Honduras in commercials trying to get people to go to the United States because you idiots keep telling them that we're open. Come on in. That's what Joe Biden's in, so we must have open borders. We do not have open borders.
you are basically saying sell your belongings to the family in Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, Brazil, whatever. Sell your belongings to human traffickers and get to the border because you can stay, to people who are supposedly family members. You have just given the go sign to another 10, 20, 15, or 35,000 kids to come here because you have the humanitarian approach. You have to think around the corner. And
nothing has changed with the children. The Trump administration had the same policy. You can't just take kids and throw them out. They're kids. Remember, Trump was going to write a bill of love for DACA. It's going to be filled with so much love.
Reaction, and it's not my opinion, the numbers don't lie.
Yeah, 35,000. Sure, there's a ton of unaccompanied minors coming into the country right now. And part of that reason is because of the situation in El Salvador, etc. The other part of the reason is Republicans keep saying that the border is open and their words are being played on the radio in the countries that these people are from, which they are, hence they came hence.
And they believe success is emptying these facilities or building new ones. No, success is them going back and them realizing this is not the way to do it. And if you want to allow more kids to come in, that's some...
Anyway, this is the #1 topic on all of the right-wing stations. It's leading with the immigration. Oh, the children at the border. Oh, the crisis. It's a crisis. It's a crisis. Most Americans, doesn't affect us. It really doesn't. I would love very much to adopt one of these kids. Not adopt them, sorry. Foster these kids. I wish I spoke Spanish. I would love to open my home up to that right now. I don't have a home right now. But if I go to Schenectady, I could get a house. You don't even have to pay anything. It's awesome.
For debate on both sides they might be able to get on board with, but not this way. Now think about this. At the same time you...
met a Canadian refugee yesterday, not a refugee from Canada, a refugee from Uganda, who, when Idi Amin came into power, his family became refugees in Canada. Now, he's a doctor. Like that, oh, these refugees are just milking off the system. No, this guy is a doctor. I think. He drives an Alfa Romero. He's doing okay.
Of ICE. You say stop picking up people, and even though there's more illegals here than ever, they have been unable to penetrate a lot of these sheriff's offices to pick people
Lizzie, I got a haircut like 3 weeks ago.
Up, and they're not empowered to do so. And at the same time, you said the Remain in Mexico policy is gone. They're angry because they were looked at as international lawbreakers because of Joe Biden's laws. And for people who think Biden's not responsible, they're wearing Biden.
Oh no, just watching these photos is like, oh no, there's some people sitting on the ground. Oh no, there's some people getting on a bus. All right.
Let me in t-shirts. They never saw those Trump t-shirts.
Governor Abbott was interviewed over the weekend, and he said
What about the Trump t-shirts? What is Brian upset about right now? About the Trump t-shirts?
The president...
What?
As international lawbreakers because of Joe Biden's laws. And for people who think Biden's not responsible, they're wearing Biden let me in t-shirts. They never saw those Trump t-shirts.
Governor Abbott was...
Okay. I've never seen the Biden let me in t-shirts either, but okay. Good. Where can I get one of those? I still owe everyone t-shirts. T-shirts this week. This week I'm going to do my taxes, and then I'm going to get back on with the casting agency, and then I'm going to also deal with my unemployment, and then I'm going to deal with the electric company, and then I'm going to take a look at t-shirts for everybody. Lizzie, I just got a haircut like half an hour ago.
Weekend, and he said by the president not even mentioning this problem in the address last week, he said it just shows that he doesn't even care. And he said this is a problem for all states, every single state in our country, because he said the gangs, the human traffickers, the drugs, the heroin, the fentanyl, it's coming into every single state. And he says when he toured one of these facilities down in Texas, there was no law enforcement. It was an inadequate number of personnel and staff.
Oh yeah, drugs are now a problem because of Biden.
Said there were sexual assaults taking place. It was very grotesque, very disturbing allegations. And, you know, we're spending $60 million, it's being reported, per week to house the migrant minors. That is $3.1 billion every year.
Well, then maybe you shouldn't have spent so long saying that when Biden gets into office, everything's going to change and everybody gets to come in and everyone's getting $1,000 a day. Now, maybe you shouldn't have spread that message. Maybe. Because you know what? It's the same policy. Nothing's changed.
Where's that money coming from? Here's the governor of Texas.
From the taxpayers?
Listen.
President Biden's approach to this, and that is to abandon the rule of law. What they're supposed to do is to detain them, to cite them, to require that they show up for a court hearing, and they've even abandoned the practice of requiring citations and requiring appearance at courts to show up.
It's not true.
So that does mean that all you
the unaccompanied minors, it's not how the system works at all.
to do is get across the border, and you can do anything you want to do, and of course that means it's
completely untrue. The vast majority of people that come across the border are expelled immediately. So, okay.
an abandonment of the legal immigration law.
It's fentanyl, not fentanyl.
Laws passed by the United States Congress.
Yeah, it's been. Go ahead, Steve.
Which we have detailed how he has, on day one, changed all the rules regarding this. You know, the narrative was and has been for the first
The unaccompanied minors, nothing has changed. It's the same rules.
100 days. It's not a crisis down there. But now they've got, you know, they're changing it, and now they say, now we've got it under control, because when you look at the month-over-month number of migrants who are being apprehended, in April, it was way down from March. But it is still a record number of people, because as we were talking about in one of those sound bites, the people in South America, Central America, Mexico.
At random, yeah, I know that's what you said.
Mexico know that if a child appears at our southern border, we are going to let them in, and so that's why we see all those.
That's always been that way. We've always let children in. Listen to what you're saying. If a child appears at the border, yeah, a child. Oh my God.
They get the money, they buy drugs, they bring it into our country. It's a lose, lose, lose for us. I don't even trust the numbers to say the numbers are going down. Add
yeah,
this.
look. This is the wall. This is the wall that can't be climbed. You can't get over it. You can't get around it. This is why all the money was stolen from the military families and given to the people that build the wall. This is also why Steve Bannon was pardoned, by the way.
This great special over the weekend. You know, how come the governor of Texas wasn't this upset when these numbers were increasing?
That's a 5-year-old or a 3-year-old or a 6-year-old or something like that. Just young children being dropped over the border in this video on March 30th. Both of them were okay. There's 2 of them coming up here. But I don't know why they keep showing this video, because what this video shows you is that the wall is completely useless. You know how you get over the wall? With a ladder. And they're not even spending money on the ladders. The ladders, you just find a couple of pallets and hammer it together.
Not at these numbers, at these levels, when President Trump was in office. The main reason? President Trump admitted there was a problem. Nobody thought the president was ignoring the problem. He was in the face of his own officials, firing them regularly, saying this is an issue, I need money.
So he was firing the officials regularly because the officials were incompetent. Who put the officials there?
I need a fence, I need a wall, I need technology, I need more Border Patrol people. There's something about the American people. They know when people try to fix a problem as opposed to ignoring the problem.
Do they? Do they know that, Brian?
That's the main difference why these governors are incensed. And it's not just the governor of Texas, it's the governor of Arizona. And I think if you give sodium pentothal to the governor of New Mexico, he'd say the same thing, as well as Gavin Newsom if he wasn't too busy trying to hold on to his own political career.
Brian, are we thinking about giving sodium pentothal to the governor?
I'm just saying it should be an option. And that's what I'm going to run on when I run for office eventually. Sodium pentothal for all elected officials to finally get the truth out.
Wait. You're going to run for office?
Maybe. If I can get the bumper stickers done, if I can get the printer deal
At
cut.
what level?
Probably, I would like to start at the lowest level possible, the same way I
You're not allowed to. We would miss you.
Oh, that's right. All right, so maybe I'll put it on hold for now.
All right, so the Biden administration is going to be talking about the infrastructure bill this week. They're really traveling all across the map to tout this spending. It's very expensive, and that's what you heard Republicans saying over the weekend. You can see the map of where they're all going this week to talk about it. Today is going to be in Virginia at an elementary school, and Susan Collins was criticizing the amount of the spending. She said, that I thought was interesting, the amount that we spend on this enormous package is the amount we spent on World War II.
Isn't that?
Yeah. There's a house near here, a beautiful house. And I just happened to look at the records, the original records. I was talking to my dad about like how you get permits and stuff like that. And I came across the records for this house from 1945. So right near the end of the war. In 1945, this house was appraised at about $4,800. That house just sold for $2.3 million. So yeah, spending more than we spent in World War II to fix the infrastructure and more of the country? Of course! Why wouldn't you? Did you know we spent more on schools today than we spent on ammunition in the Civil War?
Crazy. So you've got the Republicans who have already floated. Okay, the Joe Biden infrastructure.
Let's just do the math on that. I'll do it while they're talking.
Really not all about infrastructure. There's about that much infrastructure in there. So the Republicans have
about that much infrastructure. There's a lot of infrastructure in there.
come out with this plan for about $600 billion. And of course, the Democrats and Joe Biden's plan is $2.3 trillion.
The Republicans want to spend about a fourth less.
Yeah, no kidding. So anyway,
fourth of the total amount.
The big news out of yesterday is that apparently the administration has invited the lead Republican negotiator, Shelley Moore Capito of West Virginia, to meet.
Adjusted for today's dollars, the war cost about $4 trillion. And how much does Biden want to spend? Okay.
This week with them because they're going to try to see if they can have any common ground. There's no common ground if one side wants to spend $2.3 trillion, the other side wants to spend $600 billion. At least that's what John Barrasso, the senator from the great state of Wyoming, says.
When I look at this is a staggering amount of spending, like someone with a new credit card. And these are for things that we don't necessarily need. We certainly can't afford, but they're going to delight the liberal left of the party. It seems to me that this is a cradle to grave role of government, whether it's paying for child care for everyone, college, free college for everyone, and ultimately someone's going to have to pay for this. It's almost creating an addiction to spending.
And just to build on what Ainsley was saying before, to put this price tag in proportion with inflation taken into account, what dollars are worth back then and now. If you look at the New Deal, everyone talks about the massive spending, the make work projects because we're in a depression. It adds up to $856 billion. He wants to spend $6 trillion in 110 days. Yeah,
and imagine that. The population is so much more than it was now, and it was spending a lot more, and things are more expensive. Plus, you have to do with insurance, and you have to do all the environmental studies, etc. So, yeah. Back in those days, it was commonplace to run into people whose fathers had died building a highway or the Panama Canal.
recovery from the Great Recession, 2009. We were all old enough to be in the Great Recession. I don't know exactly where we were. We might have been wearing similar outfits. $1.8 trillion, $6 trillion in 110 days. So is it an emergency? Not really. I can't tell you how many states, believe it or not, are flushed with cash that we printed and gave to them, and our
Flushed with cash? You know what those states are going to do with that money? They're going to spend it on infrastructure and paying the police.
GDP grew at 6.4%. Unemployment is down to 6%. It was as high as 14 a year ago.
Right.
We are recovering.
And 2 years ago, it was half of what it is right now. Yes, we're recovering.
He's taking credit for the recovery. Most of the money that he got on his $1.9 trillion immediately on a pure party line vote isn't even out the door yet. The President of the United States taking full, full credit for it, which is unbelievable. Here's a bet. Are you
How is he taking full credit? What does that even mean?
ready? I think they're going to get a deal done on this because Joe Manchin's not voting for it. They're going to have to come to the table. When you're at $600 billion and the other guy's at, what is it, 2.4 trillion?
2.3.
And you could just say, listen, I don't even have the 50 votes, let alone reconciliation, whether this qualifies or not. I think they're going to get a deal done because I watched Senator Cassidy yesterday say it, Senator Portman say it, and Senator Capito also is indicating that there's a churn going on here.
Even Joe Biden said he was willing to work with Republicans so that he could try to get a deal done. Susan Collins says,
yeah, but he says that all the time. And then the Republicans said 600 billion. Okay, for what? Well, just 600 billion. And then, like it was last time, in the recession that we recovered from in 2007, 8, 9, when the Republicans came and said, no, that's way too little money, or that's way too much money. We don't want that $2 billion bill, Obama, the American Restructuring Plan. We don't want that. We want like 600 billion. Oh, okay, we'll compromise. We'll bring our bill way down. And then you know how many Republicans voted for it? Like 5.
she will not support corporate tax being raised up to 28.
It's significant because she's usually bendable.
She said, because I'm worried that companies will leave our country and that will mean jobs.
And of course, this is all predicated on he would need 60 votes in the Senate unless they get rid of the filibuster, in which case all bets are off and everything changes. All right, meanwhile, do your kids go to school? I mean, of course, they go to school, but do they go to school with a laptop in their bedroom, or do they go to an actual school? You know, Joe Biden made it very clear, you elect me and I will make sure that a majority of American schools are opened in my first 100 days. Not the case so far. Now the question becomes, will the schools be opened in the fall?
Are the majority of schools not open yet? The schools here in California are open. There's an elementary school about a block from me. It's open.
One of the president's advisors was on CNN yesterday and said, yeah, hold the phone, watch.
He said probably. He didn't say absolutely. But given the science, if the vaccination program in this country proceeds, if people do go get their vaccines, he does believe that schools should be able to reopen in September and reopen safely following the CDC guidelines. But he said probably. He did not say absolutely, because we've all seen this since, unfortunately, January of 2020. It's an unpredictable virus. We can't look in a crystal ball and say what September looks like.
So I laugh when people say Joe Biden's so bold, he's looking for transformation. Look at what great programs he...
Well, yeah, if there's a spike like there is in India right now, or in BC, or in Ontario, where everything is locked down, you don't open the schools. You close them up again. Duh.
He's offering. Really? Bold? Offering to pay for programs through somebody else's money, who, by the way, we don't even have the money to fulfill his obligations. We know what bold is? Being 78 years old, accomplishing whatever he did or didn't do throughout his years in the Senate, and saying there's right and there's...
Where are the schools closed? Does anybody still have schools closed in their neighborhood? I'm looking at a map online, and there's no states left. Oh, wait. Sorry. Puerto Rico is still all closed. Puerto Rico's still dealing with the virus on a huge level right now. So, New Mexico is ordered open. Texas, Arkansas, Oregon, Washington, South Carolina, Florida, open. Let's see. North Carolina, open. West Virginia, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, some grades are ordered open. And then the rest of the country is pretty much, let's see. Delaware, some schools are closed. DC, some schools are closed. And Hawaii, partial closure still in effect. Everywhere else, there's no orders.
Wrong. Even though the unions support Democrats, I don't want a lost generation. I want these kids back in school. But instead, he says he has his Flax go out there and say he didn't promise anything. Well, listen to what we're dealing with now in Seattle. K-5 are back in school 4 days a week. Sounds good? But how about for only 2 hours? Oregon's Reynolds School District lets children return to the classroom 2 days a week for 3 hours or less. In Los Angeles, they spend 2 to 3 days a week in a physical school. Their teachers stream in their lessons while the kids sit in school. And the problem with more than 100 days later is most students still have not returned to anything close to normal. But they've proven in other states and other cities you can, like Texas and Arizona, and as well.
And in every one of those states, for example, there's a private school near me, and they went back, and 2 days later they closed again. Everybody closed down because the younger kids, this is a K through 12 private school, and a couple of the younger grades, they had an outbreak. So they closed down right away. They can afford to do the testing. A lot of schools can't afford to do all that testing.
As Florida, and if
yeah, but the schools are open. I don't remember Biden promising like the schools are going to be open full time all the time. Maybe I'm wrong.
President Biden really wants to show leadership. He'll take on his constituents, who are the teachers' unions.
There's this article in the Wall Street Journal. It's an op-ed. It's called "The Schools Aren't Really Open." And to Brian's point, it goes through all the school districts and says they say they're open, but they're only open for 2 hours and 45 minutes a day. Or there's this lawsuit filed by parents last month in New York City because they say the teachers are still missing from 75% of the classrooms, and 75% of the children attending these so-called open schools are subjected to remote learning within the classroom, also dubbed Zoom in a room.
Yeah, the Wall Street Journal, and you should read it. It's great. It's on their op-ed page. They go on to say, the problem is that more than 100 days later, most students still have not returned to anything resembling a normal school schedule. These columns have documented how teachers' unions have used their political clout, especially in Democratic states, to resist returning to full-time instruction. Mr. Biden could help students, working parents, and the country if he'd speak truth to that union power. As a Democrat, he's especially well positioned to do it. Instead, he is defining reopening and thus education down. It's a tragedy, and America will suffer the consequences for decades.
No, America's going to be just fine. I was with them until they got the consequences of this for decades will reverberate throughout the ages if America survives. All right, Chicken Little. We still need to work. You know how we get the schools open? You want the schools fully open, everybody back to normal. Vaccines. Just get the vaccines. Well, it hasn't been approved yet by the FDA. It has!
Just keep in mind, we had heard, months ago that the teachers would get back to school as soon as they got the vaccine, because that was predicated. Forget about the fact that Anthony Fauci said teachers did not have to be vaccinated as long as you're social distance. But then the teachers union said absolutely not. Everybody's got to have a shot. Now 80% of the students have had the shots, and they're still not.
No. The students cannot get the shot. I'm pretty sure he must mean teachers there, because nobody under the age of 16 can get the shot.
Not going back. And for kids,
let's just make sure. He said students there, right?
Teachers did not have to be vaccinated as long as you're social distance. But then the teachers union said absolutely not. Everybody's got to have a shot. Now 80% of the students have had the shots, and they're still not going back. And for kids to show up here in New York City and sit in a classroom while their teacher is zooming into them, what's the matter with that picture? It's union clout right there.
So talking to somebody the other day, what they may be misunderstanding there, of course, every school district is probably a little bit different, but what's happening here is talking to a friend whose wife is a teacher. Somebody's a teacher. What's going on is that the kids come into the school, right? They go to one classroom. That's their pod, that classroom. The teacher teaches them homeroom or whatever, and then all of the other classes are piped into that room, but the teacher has to stay in that room. So music or art or whatever, it's all coming across the screen into the room, which is Zoom in a room, I guess. But the teacher said, if this is still happening in the fall, I'm quitting. They have no time to do anything. They can't do their own lessons. They can't prep for their own stuff because now they've got every single period the same kids. They never get a break during the day to do the work that the teachers have to do in order to make things function.
And Joe Biden, according to the Wall Street Journal, needs to stand up and say enough is enough.
Yes, and stop being beholden to this union and think about our children who've already lost, many of them more than a year in the classroom.
I actually don't think it's according to the Wall Street Journal. I think it's called any clear-thinking American parent, grandparent. If you want your kids back in school and don't want them, with a lost year they'll never recover, you'll do it. And please don't tell me you care about women in the workplace, especially working-class women, because they are suffering the most because they got to stay home and they can't write the big check for a babysitter or daycare. They have to stay home.
I really hope they segue from this directly to the child care policies that Joe Biden is wanting to put into place that the Republicans are so dead against. Affordable child care. You're against women in the workplace? Well, you stop. Don't pay for the child care. Make the women stay home with the kids.
Home and
just keep perpetuating the 65 cents on the dollar because the women stay home with the kids and have to take some years off compared to a male, and the male ends up making a lot more money than them because they've lost out on all those years of experience. One of the many reasons. It's primarily education, but that's another topic.
Can't get their career on track because the teachers won't go back.
Because they have to stay home with the kids. Listen to what you're saying.
Back to school. And if higher-end people can have the flexibility to get great babysitters to come in and maybe be watched while they watch on Zoom, not for working-class women, and the numbers reveal that.
That's such a good point, Brian. But the babysitter who comes in to take care of the family that is affluent and can afford it, who takes care of the babysitter's kid?
Yeah, that's a good point, too.
And the teacher who would normally be teaching the babysitter's kids, who takes care of the teacher's kid? And the kid that would normally...
Listen, when we've traveled around the country to have these conversations with parents, so many of these women have said they had to quit their jobs. They're not getting that extra paycheck because they don't have a choice. They have to stay home with their kids. All right, Ashley Strohmeyer, let's hand it over to you. Good morning.
Good morning, guys. We're going to start your headlines with an extreme weather alert. A round of suspected tornadoes sweep across Mississippi. The city of Tupelo taking a direct hit overnight. The storms downing power lines, damaging homes, and uprooting trees. No injuries were reported today. Two separate storm systems pose a threat for millions across the southeast and Midwest. And an investigation is underway after a deck collapses during a birthday party at a Tennessee restaurant. 11 people were sent to the hospital. This does include 2 with critical injuries. Wow. It happened while a group of more than 40 people were taking a picture. Some reportedly fell about 2 stories. The county's building department will inspect the deck to find the cause of the incident. And Kyle Busch taking the checkered flag at Kansas Speedway on his 36th birthday.
I don't think that was him.
The win for the first time this year, Kyle.
All right.
All right. Thanks, Ashley.
All right, more Fox and Friends in a moment.
I think that's enough Fox and Friends for us. Let's see if they had any interesting guests on there. So they've just stopped talking about Cuomo. He was their target for a little while there. They just moved from one of the... You know, it was all about beef last week. That turned out to be a completely fake story. Which then Judge Janine again brought up on Saturday, claiming that Biden was going to take away your beef. Here's Kennedy. Here's Senator Kennedy. He's always good for a laugh. Well, it must suck to be that dumb.
Might not happen. Might not even happen in September.
Crazy. You know, I know somebody who used to be a substitute teacher who we could talk to about this.
Who's taking care of her kids? Is it you? Are you taking care of her children?
Let's bring in Louisiana Senator John Kennedy.
I couldn't do this job because I don't smile enough. I can't.
Kennedy, member of the Senate Budget Committee. Good morning to you, Senator.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning. You heard Peter say he's coming to your city or your state. He's going to be there on Thursday.
Louisiana.
I don't have a lot of details. It's always an honor when a president visits your state. I'm sure the president's coming in to say I'm the candy man and I've got more free stuff for you.
Good.
The problem is that there's nothing free. Anything free, somebody had to work for.
Right, which is why they're going to tax the upper echelons of the society and the corporations. This has already been discussed. You know how the 1% got $130,000 on average from the Trump tax cut, and somebody making $28,000 got $70? You remember that? Well, this is kind of like, oh, we're gonna help the people that don't have money to buy bread, and the billionaires. We're gonna, you know what? You're all right now. Still, if you have trouble buying bread, you let us know.
The president's plan is not an infrastructure plan. Only 5% of it goes to infrastructure. It's really a...
It gets lower every time it was 16%, and then it was 12%, then it was 6%. Today, it's 5%. It keeps shrinking. So concerned. That's his concern face.
A Green New Deal and welfare plan, and it's a mess. It looks like somebody knocked over a urine sample. Now, we can fix it.
It looks nothing like that. Nothing like that. I don't know why it has to be a urine sample that gets knocked over. You could just say it looks like a urinal. You could just say like somebody got up in the middle of the night and peed on the floor. At least I put the seat down.
If we stick to A, infrastructure, and B, we have serious discussions about how to pay for it. I can tell you how we can pay for it. We can reduce some of our spending. We spend $144 billion a year on improper payment.
Yeah.
Including to dead people. We don't have to give our...
Right, and guess what? Biden wants to increase the staff at the IRS so that we can get a lot more of that money, the 30 to 130 billion that's estimated that the rich people are not paying because they don't care about getting audited because there's just not enough people out there. We could do that.
Our federal employees a pay raise every year. We can repurpose some of the coronavirus money that we don't need. We're clearly in an economic crisis. I will give the...
What? We're what? An economic crisis?
The president credit in one respect.
Is he drunk?
We don't have to give our federal employees a pay raise every year.
That's gonna go over really well. You know the federal government is the nation's largest employer. So all of them, all the people working, the people that worked through the coronavirus crisis, the essential workers, they're going to be so happy they're not going to get a pay raise this year. Wow. And they wonder why they don't get the support of the unions. They wonder why the support base is collapsing. Will we just not give anyone a raise?
We can repurpose some of the coronavirus money that we don't need. We're clearly in an economic crisis.
Okay. That was very clear.
I will give the president credit in one respect.
Okay. Is it going to be, did you come up with something funny for this? Is it going to be about a spilled urine sample? I hope.
I'm not for raising the corporate income tax, but there is a tax loophole, a special interest loophole, that I'm willing to talk with him about. It has to, I won't bore you with the details, but it has to do with what's called intellectual property and transfer pricing. I'll give you an example.
Okay.
Coca-Cola just got tagged by a federal judge for $3 billion in back taxes for cheating on its taxes.
Because their intellectual property lives in another country.
And it did it by moving its recipe for its syrup to other low-tax countries like Ireland and others, and some clever accounting, and they got caught.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of
And you know when that was supposed to be fixed? A few years ago when Trump was in office. You know what Trump said? Hey, everybody, all you corporations, bring it all back in. We've forgiven you the tax on that money, all that money that you were cheating the American people out of it. Hey, Apple, you got $300 billion sitting in Ireland. Bring it in. We're not going to tax you on it. And then you're going to build all these factories, and we're going to have this job boom, and it's going to be fantastic. And then people who know how things work, like, oh, what's that called? Oh, that thing that America is, capitalism. We all said, hey, what the companies are going to do is they're just going to do stock buybacks. Because that increases the price of the shares, that helps them get their bonuses, etc. The companies will act in the interest of their shareholders. That's what they're supposed to do. That is their fiduciary responsibility. That is what legally they have to do. They don't have to build any factories if there's no demand. And if they can still build those factories somewhere else for much, much cheaper, that's what they're going to do. That's their job. That is their raison d'etre, Mr. Kennedy. Let's just find out who was right on that. Give me just a second here, because I think I have a fellow who follows the stock market and had a little bit of knowledge as to the tax cut. I think we have his comments here on what actually happened, whether the money coming in tax forgiven was used to stimulate the economy or whether it was just used for buybacks.
I never liked stock buybacks from their standpoint. When we did a big tax cut and when they took the money and did buybacks, that's not building a hangar, that's not buying aircraft, that's not doing the kind of things that I want them to do. And we're now talking about buybacks. We didn't think we would have had to restrict it because we thought they would have known better.
We did. We did think that. You didn't think that because you don't, what's the word? Think.
Kind of things that I want them to do.
Yeah.
And we're now talking about buybacks.
Yeah.
We didn't think we would have had to restrict it because we thought they would have known better. There were some companies that used that money to buy back stock, driving up the price of the stock artificially in many cases. I don't like that. I don't like it.
No. But that's what we said was going to happen. And that's what happened. Because, of course it happened. And this gentleman right here, this Senator Kennedy, is of exactly the same ilk. He voted for that tax cut, knowing full well what would happen. Why? Because he has some very rich, very large donors who wanted that $130,000 tax break. So if they give him $7,000, it's, oh, well, I've just turned a profit of $123,000. I should buy back some of my stock.
Multinational corporations do that. And I'm willing to sit down and talk with the president about how to close that loophole. I know it's hard to believe that a company is
by the way, that horse is already out of the barn and it's returned back to the United States tax-free. But it made Trump look good because the stock market kept going up. When the companies were buying back their stock, that means they're able to A, control the stock, and B, the price of the stock goes up because it's more in demand. They're taking it off the market and giving it to themselves and sometimes distributing to the shareholders. Dividends, it's a very complicated process. Just think Bitcoin.
Our CEO is virtuous as the CEO of Coca-Cola would do that, but nonetheless, he got caught.
Yeah, well, he's pushing to move
and there may be some potential to raise money.
He didn't get caught. That's how the laws were written. Okay? Who writes the laws? The Congress people. Among them are the senators. I'm chewing on ice. Sorry, I can't actually bite it. I was just going to bite it quickly. Right now, my teeth are like, no, you're not doing that.
There, but I'm not for raising corporate income taxes across the board because the employees are the ones that are going to pay for it.
Absolutely, they're going to move to other countries. The corporate.
Yeah, no one is talking about raising the employee or the income tax across the board. No one wants to do that.
Tax is not for us. It's to get these companies to come back home and start building stuff here. Get one excuse out. I'm just going to run through some.
There was already amnesty on all that money.
Some of this. When you say we're in economic,
they literally have no idea what happened yesterday in this country.
Crisis, no doubt about it. 1930, we're in economic.
Oh, hey, Jennifer, congratulations, fully vaccinated.
Crisis in 2008, we're in economic crisis. Now we're not. Minnesota has a surplus of 1.6 billion.
We are still in an economic crisis. You're welcome, Stephanie. Thanks for asking.
Michigan's got a surplus of 2.5 billion.
Does anybody else get itchy after a haircut? I get itchy, and I think it's just like little hairs that are kind of stuck in there doing their business. I do. I like to come home and shower right away, but the lady put some product in my hair after she put the COVID all over me. And so I thought I'd leave it for the sake of the joke. Lizzie, you missed it. At random, you missed it.
Do you know there's a $15 billion surplus?
Good job, Tree. Got a haircut on Friday.
In California, in the surplus of $5 billion in Colorado, Rhode Island, $44 million. They have as a rainy day fund. Oregon, $500 million. Where is the crisis here that says we got to go write a $6 trillion budget bill? Or $6 trillion in spending, or 2.4 in infrastructure. There is no crisis.
No, there's no crisis, and we've known since December. When we got December numbers, we knew. Everybody in Washington knew. We haven't been in a crisis for several months. That's why the last bill that President Biden passed was so expensive and unnecessary. It wasn't even about coronavirus. And we're not going to spend all that money immediately. We don't need to spend it now. We're not in a crisis. Some of that money is supposed to be spent over the next 10 years, and I think the higher and better use of it is to spend it on infrastructure.
Yeah.
But nobody, I can tell you, nobody on Capitol Hill truly believed that we were in an economic crisis when we passed that bill.
Okay, here's the thing. If there are economic surpluses in the different states, like, for example, California came out of the recession, out of the COVID recession, much better than it thought it would. Here's what you do. You go down to the people who owned the sushi place that I like that is closed, and you say, what's it going to take to get you back up and running? We want to help you. We will give you a tax-free, interest-free loan to get you back. The vegetarian place just up here that's gone, what's it going to take to get you back and to hire the people that you used to have working for you? What's it going to take? We got $15 billion here. Here you go. Oh, the hockey store where I used to get my skate sharpened, don't go there. Because I have a skate sharpener now. I would show you the skate sharpener, but it's kind of heavy. It's right here. It's the corner of the box. That's as much as I'm willing to do right now. I used to be really strong. And then I could just, remember I was like lifting the box up to show you guys. I got the skate sharpener. Look at this 30-pound skate sharpener. Look at how big it is. Isn't that cool? Thank you so much, Debbie and Marcy and everybody else who contributed to it. Thank you very. Then I got a haircut and I can't lift anything. Has anyone else heard of that ever happening?
Well, but they used the coronavirus pandemic as the impetus to try to get that ball moving. So far, it has been very effective. Senator, once upon a time.
Well, here's a news flash. Sometimes politicians lie.
Yeah.
Now, some politicians lie. We've learned because they forget, but others lie because it's useful. And there were a lot of.
So he's on the forget side. Is that what he's saying?
Lies.
Because they've all forgotten the tax plan. They've all forgotten Apple coming back and buying its own stock. They've all forgotten about that. You know who hasn't forgotten about it? This guy.
I never liked stock buybacks from their standpoint.
Yes, he has. He's totally forgotten about it.
Told about the so-called economic crisis and why we.
so-called economic crisis because it was an economic crisis.
Needed to pass the last bill. That's why I voted against it.
When you divide,
I mean, I didn't fall off the rutabaga truck last night.
I have one more question about this before we move on to the next subject. When you say only 5% is going to infrastructure, and once that's divided by all 50 states, are you going to be able to get the bridges that you want? Don't you need a bridge in Lake Charles?
Well, that's the other thing I would like the president to do. The president's going to control a lot of where these projects are built, and I want to make sure that other states besides California and New York get some infrastructure. And I've also said that they need to talk specifically about some of the projects that they are considering. But only 5% of what he's proposed is infrastructure. Yeah. The rest is welfare. It's Green New Deal. It's redistribution. And he says it's free.
It's, according to factcheck.org, the minimum amount, if you're just talking about the standard things that people describe as infrastructure, just the things that John Thune went on the air on Fox News Sunday a couple of weeks back and said, hey, it's only 6% of the total bill. Even if you just take the items that he described, which is ports and roadways, modernized highways, roads, Main Street in critical need of repair, it's 17%. The number now it's 5. Today it's 5%, according to Kennedy. It's 17%, and that's even if you just count the things that John Thune mentioned on the air. Did he mention, what do we got? Bridges, highways, roads, and main streets, ports and waterways. See if he mentioned anything else. Let's see. Oh, and water, wastewater.
Money, he's the candy man. But
yeah, no, that's broadband is above the 17%.
But nothing's free. You know, anything free, somebody had to work for.
Well, he also said that he would have a majority of the school.
Somebody had to work for, or they made that money in the stock market when the foreign money came back and was forgiven tax, and then they got it and they got the capital gains without any tax because
schools open in the first 100 days. That has been problematic. Senator, once upon a time, I understand you were a substitute teacher, right?
I still am. I've been doing it several times a year since 2003. I'm very pro-teacher. I'm afraid, I hope I'm wrong, but one of the deepest scars left.
Just imagine this clown walking into your substitute teacher room. Oh my God, that would be a fun day.
By the coronavirus?
I come in, I put the DVD in the DVD player, and I press play. I'm a huge fan of teachers.
Will be the fact that we'll lose some of our kids educationally.
Yeah.
And look, I can't name you the first 6 presidents of the United States in proper order, but
I can
never forget my first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth grade teacher.
I cannot remember all of my teachers. I honestly can't.
Right.
And so many of these kids are missing out, and it's so avoidable. I mean, all the presidents.
Isn't there a song? Didn't you guys learn, the Americans in the audience, didn't you guys learn like a president's song? Washington, Jefferson, Lincoln, Biden. Like, you guys had a song, right? With the order of the presidents?
What it has to do is stand up and be very firm. The teachers aren't the problem. It's their leadership. It's the teacher unions. And he controls the purse strings. He can fix this. He can fix this by the end of the week. And for the life of me, I just don't understand why he won't do it.
But I think you were right. I think it's the teachers' unions. They have so much political clout. One of the president's senior advisors, Anita Dunn, was on yesterday, asked about, okay, so the schools are not fully open now. How about the fall? You know, 80% of the teachers are already vaccinated. She would not commit to that. Listen to this, Senator.
He said probably. He didn't say absolutely. But given the science, if the vaccination program in this country proceeds, if people do go get their vaccines, he does believe that schools should be able to reopen in September and reopen safely following the CDC guidelines. But he said probably. He did not say absolutely, because we've all seen this since unfortunately, January of 2020. It's an unpredictable virus. We can't look in a crystal ball and say what September looks like.
Senator, you are a teacher.
What did she say? That was like mid-sentence that they stopped her. Washington, there's 2 Adams in there. That's the thing. That's so easy. The first 6 presidents is not bad. Because one is John Quincy Adams. He's just the kid. It was George Washington, and then John Adams, and then Thomas Jefferson, and then Madison. He wrote the Constitution. That's easy. Then Monroe. No. Dolly Madison. Yeah. Monroe. He had the doctrine. He was a doctrine. And then Adams' kids. It's not that hard. But he can't do that. He's a senator, and he can't do that. But he's a substitute teacher, and he can't do that. Try to remember the 7th. I stop at 6. Right after John Quincy Adams, there was... Oh, you know the guy. He's like black and white.
Sure. A substitute teacher. Who is Joe Biden worried about? The teachers, the students, or the unions?
Well, his spokesperson, what did she just say? That's just the biggest bunch of bovine waste I've ever heard.
That's his way of saying bullshit. Hold on, I'm looking it up. Here it is. Andrew Jackson, Trump's favorite president. Trail of Tears, 7th president of the United States.
Look, I'm very pro-teacher, but I think that many of our teachers' leadership, they know we've just given...
You know, Andrew Jackson, he was against the Civil War. That's what Trump said. It's true. Andrew Jackson, he started, 1820? Let's look it up. I don't want to misquote that. 1829 to 1837. Elected 1828. He was really against the Civil War. Andrew Jackson was. That's what Trump said. Andrew Jackson was dead by the time the Civil War happened.
Bucket loads of money to states that they don't need, except New York and California. They need it because.
Wait, we just got done saying California doesn't need it
because they wasted so much during the pandemic.
Whoa! Which is it? You either got a $15 billion surplus or you've wasted all your money. Which is it, sir?
But they know the states don't need a lot of this money, so I think the unions are holding out for more pay. In the meantime, our children get hurt, and what's so avoidable and a shame about all this is President Biden can fix it. He says he's the education president, and talks about Dr. Biden, who is his spouse, a very accomplished woman. But they don't do anything about it, and they could. And they send out a spokesperson like the person who just spoke.
Anita Dunn.
They think the American people are morons. Yeah. That's the biggest bunch of bovine waste I've ever heard in my life. I don't know what she said. I think she's speaking in tongues.
Well, here's what she said.
Did you guys not understand what she said?
I can't predict September, but we're opening up.
Right. We can't. No one can, Brian. You didn't even understand how telescopes worked when you were a kid. I'm not kidding.
By July 1st, all these states and cities are opening up. We're predicting that, but we can't predict September. It's good enough for a 4th grader to go to school and a teacher to meet him there? You got to be kidding me. This is so inexcusable. This is a lost year of development.
It is.
With people that supposedly care the most.
It's more than a lost year. It's more than a lost year. And put the politics aside and the scoring of the points. This is going to leave a deep scar. And it's going to hurt our kids who need the help the most. A lot of middle-class kids and upper-middle-class kids, their parents are going to figure out something. Send them to private school. Send them to a charter school. But it's our kids from poor families. We're going to lose I hope I'm wrong, but we're going to lose almost, I'm not going to say a generation, but a large portion of a generation of kids here. And it's so avoidable. And all President Biden has to do is grow some oranges and stand up and say to the unions, no, we're going back to school. We're going back to school. And I'm not asking you, I'm telling you.
I guess it was maybe a year ago. Some of this.
Presidents don't have the power to tell people that they're going back to work during a pandemic. They don't have the power to tell them anytime. That would be the NLRB, the National Labor Relations Board. And even then, it's an extended lawsuit period. It's not, the president's just saying, you're going back to work. That is not how America works because, liberty bibberty. Wow.
Celebrities were talking about Disney World and some of the stories that our children are reading about. Remember Cinderella? People were saying, oh, I'm not reading this book to my child because it's a fantasy to believe that, she's going to be happily ever after if she marries this prince. And now they're doing this with Snow White because at the end when she's asleep, the prince saves her with a kiss. And so there's this publication, the San Francisco Gate, that writes this: the new grand finale of Snow White's Enhanced Wish is the moment when the prince finds Snow White asleep under the evil queen's spell and gives her true love's kiss to release her from enchantment. A kiss he gives to her without her consent while she's asleep, which cannot possibly be true love if only one person knows it's happening. So now they're trying to cancel Snow White. Your thoughts?
This ride at Disneyland.
Sometimes I think we are so screwed. I don't know where these jackaloons come up with this stuff.
It's okay. It's all right. We're not screwed because someone came up with that. No, honestly, 90% of the country does not get into this wokeness. Ironically. I should have connected that before I said it. Yeah, no, the story's fine. Leave it alone. Don't cancel. This is not the vast majority of Americans who want this canceled, who want Snow White canceled. That's okay. Well, then I guess she just stays in a coma forever. Remember, that's the thing. The only way she can be awoken is with the true love's kiss. That's the whole premise of the story. So what? The prince gets there and says, may I kiss you? My dear, may I kiss you? My name's Charming. I'm here to awaken you from your eternal slumber. May I... Okay, well, I guess I'll be off. The end. Same Sleeping Beauty, Snow White, same basic principle. The woman is asleep until the man gets there. That's how it works in the olden days, I guess.
I don't mean to be mean. I'll try.
Yeah, they should read the actual Grimm's fairy tales. That's an excellent point. There's some freaky stuff going on there.
Try to be nicer if they'll try to be saner. And I shouldn't discourage it, I guess, because so many of my Democratic friends believe in it. But it's just such utter nonsense. I doubt very seriously there are more than a handful of moms and dads in America when they lie down to sleep at night and can't, that are worried about a cartoon. I feel sorry. The people pushing this, I feel sorry for their dog, for God's sakes. It's just, it's so over the top.
Right, the only cartoon.
But this is America. Yeah. You can believe what if you want to make a fool of yourself, you can. You're free to do it.
Mm-hmm. No problem with the Flintstones.
Not
Is that
yet.
okay?
Not yet.
All right, good.
Now don't be messing with the Flintstones.
I know.
Now you've gone to
Well, they're not fair to the Brontosaurus, right? Is it true that
cavemen, Brian?
Fred made the Brontosaurus work in a quarry all day, and that's the problem.
I forgot about that. That was their tractor.
Yeah.
Right.
And Fred had no shoes. It makes it seem bad. And he wore a unitard.
And look, politically, this is what I don't get, because a lot of my Democratic friends support this stuff. Politically, it's about as popular with the American people as head lice. I mean, they're so out of touch with the lives and the concerns of ordinary Americans.
I don't
know why they spend their time on this political correctness.
Right.
All
But
right.
they do.
Senator, I would love
And
to
it's
sit in your class one day, but I feel like I've just done that for 15 minutes. We thank you very much for joining us today.
It would definitely be better than head lice.
Thanks,
sitting in his class.
All right. Thank you, sir.
All right, Ashley has some headlines for us. Hey, Ashley.
Hey, guys, good morning. We're going to start with this. Rescue crews working overnight after a boat.
And I think we're going to end with this, too. That's about enough nonsense for one day, guys. I was thinking, you know what? I should just send everybody off to watch Hal Sparks. I think he's still broadcasting. Let's check it out. Let's see if Hal Sparks is still doing his thing here. We'll make that small. We'll go to YouTube's, and we'll see if Hal Sparks comes up. Is he broadcasting today? Hold on. Hal Sparks. Hey, thanks very much to Stephanie for making our making this thumbnail. It's gone now. It doesn't look streamed 2 hours ago. So he's done. Okay, he's done for that. I think he comes on at 3. I should broadcast like from 2 to 3 and then send everybody over there. I don't know. What happened to whose teeth? Who are we looking at? I don't even know. He's a substitute teacher. He doesn't teach anything. That's not true. Some substitute teachers actually get into the material. Some substitute teachers, substitute teachers are actual teachers, and they're looking for specific jobs or whatever. Or like my cousin Billy, who substitute teaches. He is a professor of something or other. I don't even know. But he makes curriculum and stuff, and then he's on the list to help out. Although I don't know, now he's in Thailand or something. But when he was in Oregon, they would just call him in when they absolutely needed somebody, and he'd be happy to go in and teach for the day. But his job was working with science textbooks. That's what it was. Or is, or whatever. I don't know. I don't know what he's doing now. We just talk hockey. We don't talk about our jobs. Okay, guys. The Fox lady? I don't know. Okay. So it's been a pleasure, guys. Probably broadcast tomorrow. Big things coming up. Thank you very much for watching. I feel like I've taken a lot of weight off my shoulders today, just having you here, and I appreciate that. Maybe tomorrow we'll watch Hal Sparks or something. We do have interviews with President Trump, not us doing the interview, but God, the guy looked naked. It's just so weird to see my own neck. Look at this. I have a neck tan line from the hair. Just show the tan line from the neck. I don't even know if I could do that without taking my shirt off. Nobody wants to see that. That is God. You guys can't see that. The red doesn't show up much on the camera, but yeah, this is what sun does. Cancer shirt. Cancer. Kevin. I don't know what zaddy means. Nip slip. Maybe that's what that means. Yeah, God, he broadcasts like every day. No, wait, what is this? I stream live every day and then some. Oh, okay, so yeah, he does Saturdays and Sundays too. See, it's impressive. That's why he is who he is. He's been doing it for like 10 years. This is from 10 years ago. Oh no, I have to click on him and then it goes to just his videos. So, oh, maybe no, these are actual live streams from 20 hours ago, 20 hours ago, 20 hours ago, 20 hours ago, 20 hours ago. I don't get it. I'm not sure what these are. We'll take a look. We'll take a look at that later. Stephanie, thank you very much at random. Thank you very much for commenting on my hair. I don't care. I'm just happy that it's gone. Look at that. That's like a 3-cut. This is a lot of gray going on. I came out of the how do I do this? There, like that. A lot of gray up in there. I came out of the pandemic and now I'm distinguished. Sorry, that's what happens. By the way, I just gotta say, it's fine. My opinion really doesn't matter on this. People feel how they feel. And life is about feelings. Women with like a shock of gray, I find that very attractive. I think it's sexy. I know. I'm not allowed to comment on women. Blah, blah, blah. Woke, woke, woke. I just find like a streak of gray hair, a little bit gray hair, a little gray on the temples or whatever it is. I just find it attractive in a woman. I don't know if it's sexy. I'm going to say sexy. Yeah. How about this hair sticking up right here? Do we like that too? Is that sexy? I'll finish the broadcast like this. I have no problem with gray hair. If somebody goes gray, great. See, it's right in the word. You can't spell great without gray. But if people want to dye their own hair, dye their own hair. My daughter's own hair is blue, so what do I know? But I do like that. I do like a shock of gray. All gray? Fine. Not gray? Fine. Red, blue, whatever? Fine. Shock of gray? Also fine. Everything is fine. Everyone is perfect. Don't change a thing about yourself. Everyone is great. The whole universe is wonderful. Ask and you shall receive. That's what it is, right? Okay, guys. Speaking of which, we will talk to you tomorrow. Everybody take care of yourself. Take care of each other. And if you're not vaccinated, go get vaccinated. If you know someone who hasn't gotten vaccinated, call them and just see what questions that they have. Because the lady today said that the FDA hadn't approved the vaccines. Hopefully, I saved a life today. And maybe it was yours.